Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. And I know, guys, didn't go our way today. It's another, well, not another, but a second loss of the season for Napoli. This time it comes at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona against a very good and solid Lazio team, obviously guided by Maurizio Sarri. Now, I don't want to say that I jinxed it, but some of you guys that have been following me for a long time, how many times do I put anyone from the opposition into the thumbnail of the video? Or, even if it's just the coach, right? Very few times, but for some reason today, I had a sneaky feeling that Sarri was gonna do something to us because, if there's one person that knows Napoli really well, it's Sarri. Now, I know a lot of you guys are saying, Dom, that's a completely different team, the one that Sarri had. In fact, there's been several managers that have been in between Sarri and Spalletti. But are they that different? Spalletti this morning or yesterday said in the press conference that you can still see the lines of passing etched onto the fields in Castelvolturno where Napoli plays. And a lot of what we do actually, does still remind me of Sarri's Napoli. The link up between left back, Zielinski and Kvara, those little triangles are still very much what Sarri used to do. So this is a team that although, a lot of these players haven't played under him, even though, one of them, Zielinski, has, Elmas has, and all these guys, this is still a team that Sarri knows really well because it's an evolution of that. And so I thought if there was one person that could really understand how to beat Napoli, it would be him. So I had that feeling. Mike Ekstad, thank you, man, for the $2 donation. Says, I blame Insigne. I agree. And that's the end of the live, guys. Just blame Insigne for everything. I wish I could do that. And that, honestly, that used to be my reaction last year. I just blanket statement. I blame Insigne. No, we don't have that sort of thing this year. We will go over why I think we found it tough. And first, I want to read some of your comments. I must say, I'm always a little bit disappointed when I see more people commenting than the ones that smash the like button. I feel like you gotta smash the like button before you comment. That should be a rule on YouTube. You gotta. And I know who smashed the like button, right? I know. So I'm not gonna read your comment if you haven't. Actually, I'm kidding. I can't see who smashed the like button, but I have a sense. So guys, smash it because. The thing is, I made a video a few days ago and not enough of you guys smashed it, and we know the rule, right? If you smash it, then we win. Didn't smash it enough, so we didn't win. Anyways, let's see some of the comments, guys. So Hafiz saying Spalletti needs to make tactical changes now. Guys, I mean, Spalletti did change it around when we conceded a goal. He went from a 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2, bringing on Elmas and Dombele, and they were playing down the middle. You kept Kvara and Politano down the flanks, and then we had Osimhen and Simeone play together, which is something that we don't usually see. I don't know if that went super well, because if you think about it, guys, when we moved to the 4-4-2, I feel like we conceded a lot of counterattacks towards the end of the second half. Now, maybe that would have happened anyways with a 4-3-3, because naturally we were pushing people forward, but I feel like it's an experiment that, it's a very desperate experiment, and hopefully we don't rely on that too much, because I do feel like it exposes us quite a lot. Mike Ekstad says, gotta mix things up a little bit. Diego Marquez says, solid wake-up call for Napoli. Credit to Lazio, they did their homework and cut our space for the wings that usually feed Victor. Yeah, I agree, and we'll go over all these points, so I'm glad you guys are noticing them too. We'll go over that in the analysis. You know what, guys? I would never say I'm glad Napoli lost. I wouldn't say that. But I'm an engineer by trade. I believe in numbers, even though in my past video I said that math doesn't exist, but it's a joke. I believe in numbers and I believe in, statistics, all right? Now, statistically speaking, a team can't win every single game, right? So you then have to say, okay, over the course of 60 games that Napoli, or 50 games that Napoli could play in a season, because of how good we are, maybe we lose 3 or 4, right? We've lost to Inter, we've lost to Lazio. That means we don't have that many more, right, to sort of look forward to. So I'd rather kind of get these out of the way, and also get these out of the way in a team against a team that plays well, like Lazio did, against a tough opposition like Inter, than lose against, for example, Lecce, right? Because I feel like it prepares us more for maybe what could come later on in the Champions League, right? You might find a team that is able to defend as well as Inter and Lazio in the Champions League, and we actually learn from these, right? Whereas sometimes when you lose against teams that are like 17th, 16th, can't really learn too much from that and apply to the Champions League, because no team is going to play that defensively, or just, you get what I mean, right? So yeah, I feel like we can learn from this. I feel like we got it out of our system. It's better that we lose today than in a few weeks' time, maybe in a Champions League game. I really do think it's a numbers game over the course of a season. We got this out of the way, and so yeah, I hope that makes sense. Hafiz Yusuf is celebrating with his little sticker with a $5 donation. Thank you, man. Thanks for supporting the channel. Vito with the $2 I believe. Thank you as well for supporting the channel. Says tough game, we deserved more. How was your holiday? So guys, last week I was away, as you know. I was actually in Florence, and Napoli was playing at Empoli, so like 30 kilometers away. It was crazy. I should have gone, but I couldn't. And I had the unfortunate event that I was flying with Vueling, which is a low-cost airline. In case you guys don't know, they delayed my flight. They canceled it. I had to spend the night at the airport, and I got an email yesterday after spending 16 hours at an airport that I'm not eligible for a refund on that. So that's interesting. So if any of you guys worked there, what the hell, bro? Anyways, Arsenal daily update says they play like crap. What were those passes? Seriously? I don't know, but Arsenal is only +5 after someone says better than Arsenal. Look, guys, we did not play so well. But at the same time, I think this loss is more credit to Lazio. Honestly, guys, because look, let's go to the player rate. Let's go to the match stats, all right? And you can see from the match stats, guys, that actually we didn't play so badly. Look at this. 14 shots against 5. Ball possession, 65% against 35%. Passes, 733 with 89% pass accuracy, right? So, 8 corners against 3. Sorry, this is all in Spanish, but Napoli was controlling the game. Now, what is something that stands out from these stats? Probably nothing to you guys, because maybe a lot of you don't speak Spanish. But the second line, tiros a puerta, which is shots on target, 2. The same amount as Lazio, but we had 14 shots. They had 5 in total. And that's really the key behind why Napoli couldn't beat Lazio, because Lazio did not allow us into the box, right? And we were forced to take shots outside of the box. And to be honest, we're not so good at that. We don't even tend to hit the target from those kind of shots, right? In fact, I think Napoli this year, like 98% of our goals come from inside the box, which is a crazy stat. And we'll see more why maybe that happened as well. Another thing maybe is some of you guys that are following me for a very, very long time. I don't tend to do the match stats very much nowadays, but maybe like 2 seasons ago, something like that, I used to do this a bit more often, look into the details of this more often. And I kept saying, I don't like it when our pass precision is too high. Some people tend to think the higher your pass precision, the better. I think it should be maximum 87, 88%. Why is that? Because unless you're winning like 4-0 and it means that you're that much better than the other team, okay, fine, you can have it even up to 100. But when it's a close game and you have a 90% pass accuracy, that means you're playing it just sideways between Rahmani and Kim. You're not actually trying to feed Osimhen. You're not actually trying to play the ball in between the lines, because if you were trying to do that against a good team, your pass accuracy would go down, because out of 5 passes you would screw up 1. So that would make it impossible then for you to get a 90% overall. You would get closer to an 85 at most. So when it's a tight game like this, I prefer to see around 85% accuracy, and at least it shows that we've tried, instead of 89, which shows that we've just played it at the back. Now, that's, it's not scientific. It's not necessarily, like, no one, like, you can't prove it, like that's the case. But it's just from my experience of watching games and then looking at the stats, this is the correlation that I found. Let's go back to the comments, guys. I want to read what you guys have to say clearly. Guys, if you like watching these videos, make sure you are smashing the like button, because there's so many of you guys that return video after video, and even if you're watching this the next day or something, just it really helps the channel if you smash that like button, show the love. Let's see some more comments. Payman Dagar says, we need to stop talking about title and focus. Meta needs to do better. Now, speaking of the title, right, I made that video 2 days ago about, is it too early to celebrate the title, right? And as you guys know, I didn't take it very seriously. Now, why is that? Some of you guys maybe were a little mad about that. You expected me to come to you and saying like, yeah, we're gonna do this, that, we're gonna win here, win there, and give you guys a date of when we can celebrate the title mathematically. But that's not football, right? In my head, I always knew something like this could happen. It's unpredictable. Hopefully we win from now on, but who knows, right? So thinking about the title, I know 15, 18 points is a lot, but let's just really focus game after game. And so that was really the message of that video. It's like, guys, don't think about this. Like, don't take it seriously. Don't, because we never know. We really never know. And, I'm not saying we could become a bad team overnight. That's never going to happen. But, we lost today, and who knows later on. At the end of the day, we're probably still going to win the title. But, like, people that were trying to do the math on when, guys, that's not how football works. Adam Miller says, this could be the best. Big game next week, and I expect us to come out strong for that one. Plus, I'd rather Lazio in top 4. I think it's good for the league that we have more competitive teams rather than just 3 fighting. It would be very bad for the league, for example, if you had a clear top 4, so Napoli and then 3 others. I feel like this year we've got a few more teams that can fight for that top 4, which is good for them. Yeah, it just means Serie A is still competitive, which is, it also helps us, if you think about it. This loss kind of helps us because people are going to start thinking, oh, you know what, Serie A is competitive. Lazio can beat Napoli. So if Napoli does have an 18-point lead or a 15-point lead or whatever it will be, is because they really, are fantastic. Because on any given day, actually, these teams can beat you. It's not like they're bad. It's not like it's the Farmers League, right? I don't know if that made sense with you guys, but I think so. Napoli fans are probably freaking out because that's what they do. Lol, says Paul Dedica. And Anthony says, hey guys, after I've calmed down, I can say we needed this. We needed to take an L at home in front of everybody and remember. Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back with what I'm saying, right? Every once in a while, you do want a loss because that's what gives you fuel at times, like otherwise you get a little bit complacent. And, all the great athletes, they go through moments where you lose, and hopefully that doesn't impact your season in a negative way, like it doesn't make you lose a title, but hopefully that loss makes you remember just how bad it feels so that you stay focused for the next games, because you don't want to repeat that. without taking away any sort of confidence. And, it's not like we got battered. If we had been battered, that would have been bad. If we came out here, lost 4-0, okay, maybe that would affect our confidence a little. But losing 1-0, playing well, keeping control of the ball, I think we can say that this won't have any effect on their confidence. In fact, it might just spur them on to remain even more concentrated down the line. So yeah, I am a believer that maybe this is not the end of the world, and that you need a little bit of ups and downs to like slingshot you. If you just have a easy life, then at some point you might fall down the cliff. You do need a bit of something that keeps you awake a little bit. Let's see. Artemi Zabagailov says, huge credit to Lazio and Sarri in particular. They knew where they were going and what they needed to do. Hopefully it would be a wake-up call for us mentally. We need to stop talking about Scudetto. Artemi, couldn't have said that better myself. That's exactly my line of thought. Blue Line says it was a very difficult match decided by only a shot. I mean, that's how a lot of these games go. And, to be fair, I can tell you there's been 2 or 3 games where it went our way, and other games like these ones where it goes against us. It's just the way it goes, guys. I mean, I'm not super upset or anything because I don't think this will have a negative effect on our overall season. I can only see positives from this loss in terms of how it can slingshot us even more, and how we can learn from it, guys. Because I'd rather Sarri figure out how to beat us, and we have many months to figure out solutions to this, as opposed to going to a Champions League semi-final and then a team, showing us for the first time how they can beat us there, and we don't have any time to react to think of new solutions. Now we've got a few months to think about some solutions if a team plays like this. Lazy passing was the most annoying thing for me, says Artemi. We did 2-3 touches where we usually play 1 touch. That's true. I saw that particularly with Kim. We said a few times how Kim is usually very good at 1-touch football. Today, a bit less. And I didn't like Anguissa today. Just a little preview of the player rating there. Eric Lamera says, let's calm down. We are overreacting. I mean, I'm being very calm. So I think Eric is talking about the chat. Let me go further down the chat. Johnny Bum says, Kvara did Kvara things, but his passing the third was not there today. Yeah, I mean, he was, I think he was super marked today. Did well, actually, to beat his man so many times. And then it did seem like a lot of his crosses were just put into the middle. But I mean, when you've got a guy like Osimhen there, there's always a possibility that he can get to them. Pranav Jain says, Oliveira saw defensively, but Ruiz passing in his long balls to Ossi is something that we're missing today. Yeah, we miss from Oliveira the ability to cross the ball into the box. You're 100% right, Pranav. Oliveira, I think he gives you that something extra physically, a bit more dynamism. Is that a word? He's a bit more dynamic, but in terms of quality, in terms of pure quality, Mayo Ruiz's left foot is one of the best out there, for sure. Man, I am so angry about this loss. Not that the team played bad, but that striking Vin. I don't know how Kim's header didn't go in, man. Yeah, that was crazy, that whole sequence of play. Zielinski and Oliveira were poor, he continues. I don't think they were poor, to be honest. I think they both played a good game. And guys, it goes back to try to think of the result separately from player performances. Like Zielinski was linking up really well with Kvara, Osimhen, and these guys. Oliveira as well. I think he did really well defensively. If we lost, it's because of, as someone said before, Lazio had a pretty lucky shot that went in. Otherwise, it would have still been 0-0 without that bit of luck. And at 0-0 with 30 minutes still to go, probably we would have won that game. And you guys would be saying how we had a good game, good performance. So, yeah. Patrick should have gotten a red card in the first half, says Johnny Baum. Maybe. Sufus Kobo says, I'm just not used to losing anymore. Kind of hurts, really. Vincenzo says, Oliveira doesn't gel with Kvara and the mids as well as Rui, and his crossing isn't on the same level. Huge miss for this matchup. Yeah. he does not gel with Kvara as well because, again, Kvara is a very technical player, and he loves to link up with other technical players like Mario Rui and Zielinski. Like when Mario Rui, Zielinski, and Kvara have that chain on the left and they just can pass the ball so accurately between each other. No, it's beautiful. Oliveira, it's not like he can't relate with Kvara, but maybe he's not so technical, doesn't really read what Kvara can do as well. So yeah, I do agree, but I do think it's I do think it's Whoa, okay. All right. The sound is off. The sound is off. Why did it go off? Why did it go off? All right, the sound should be back. We're good. We're good now. I don't know why that happens. I didn't even touch anything, guys. The sound just goes off. And I'm looking at like another screen, so I don't really. But right, okay, here's the thing, guys. I also read your comments that are like way back. So the new ones, I don't get to read them. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. Vincenzo, man, I'm gonna have to refund you those $13.99. He says, Dom, no sound, bro. Thanks for the donation, but I'm gonna have to refund you for that because you shouldn't be paying $14.99 to watch a mute show. So yeah, this isn't the 1860s cinemas, man. So Yeah. Anyways. He says, Anthony G says, now just back up 5 minutes and repeat everything you just said. Dude, I was going so hard onto one of the comments. That's why I didn't notice. I was like, someone said something against Zielinski, and I was like, yo, like, nah, not today, bro, not today. All right, guys. I don't know why the volume would have gone down. Anyways. All right. I love how you guys just kept staying onto the chat. Anyways, let's move on from this. Wow, I'm just reading all the comments. There's like 5 minutes of you guys commenting that there's no sound. That's crazy. All right. Anyways, yeah, dude, I was cooking, Antonio X. I was cooking, man. I was roasting a guy. Okay, let me say what I was saying. So, someone said that Zielinski hates Kvara, and that's why he didn't pass it to Kvara. And it's like, no, dude. Kvara just... Everything was happening on the right-hand side when Di Lorenzo passed it to Osimhen, and Osimhen flicked it to him, and he was at the edge of the box, and he took a shot. Yeah, I mean, Kvara was open on the left, but it's not like he did it out of malice, right? I mean, like, guys, to say that he... Oh, I know what happened, guys. I think when I tried changing the name from 1-0 to 2-0, then the volume went out. All right, that's what happened. Right, I get it. Guys, I get it. But here's the thing about YouTube. It's so fickle, guys. If I try to fix anything, my camera's gonna go off, my audio's gonna go off, all this sort of stuff, man. Every time I go live, I just pray technology is on my side, because, you know, I'm in their hand, bro, and I'm in YouTube's hands. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on from all of this. Let's go to something that you guys like, which is the match analysis. Okay, let's try to make up for the time lost. So, this is so bad. Imagine. Yeah. Anyways, so first chance of the game in the first half was for Lazio, and what a chance, guys. I mean, free kick comes in from Luis Alberto, gets a flick on, and the header from Di Lorenzo was fantastic, because, guys, let's be honest, this one should have been 1-0 for Lazio. 9 times out of 10, there's no way a defender is there that gets the ball. We're lucky we have Di Lorenzo, who's super aware and all this, but wow, like, we were really risking it all there. So yeah, Di Lorenzo did really well. First scary moment from us, and yeah, I mean, I think overall pretty lucky that we're not 1-0 down here, to be honest. Then let's get to why Kvara maybe found it a little difficult today. I think here, it's very clear. It's 5 Lazio players occupying an area where he would like to go into, right? They basically blocked him from going onto his right foot. There's no way Kvara can make that work. I mean, I know he's great. And maybe once in a while he would make that work. But really, like, when he's scanning the field and taking a look at what he needs to do, it's obvious that the only solution for him is to go on his left foot. Fake it to the right and go to his left. And he did that a lot of times, especially in the second half, because that's how Lazio were positioning themselves. He found it a little easier when Zielinski was able to help him out as well. So when you have Kvara, Oliveira, and Zielinski in the picture, then the movement of Oliveira and Zielinski can kind of open up some spaces for him. But oftentimes, Oliveira and Zielinski were coming in a little late, not because they were being lazy or anything, just because, like, the ball travels faster than they can run. So, yeah. That header was beautiful, and Dilo blocking that was clutch, says Johnny. Dom, what you think against Atalanta? Yeah, we'll get there. So nothing Merit can do on that one. I agree. Anyways, so let's go into why Lazio made it so difficult for us. Now, most teams that play against Napoli, I don't think they do a very good job at caging our midfielders. Lazio did that very well. Not only that, but Lazio never, ever pressed Kim and Rachmani. And it's super important for Lazio's defending mechanism that they don't do that. Here's why, guys. Because if you start pressing them, then it opens up spaces behind you that Anguissa can exploit, right? By staying over there, they basically said, look, if you want to do anything, you can't do it down the middle. So how does Napoli respond? Well, let's look at step by step how Napoli tried to counter this. All right, so when Rachmani has the ball, Di Lorenzo, if you look at the number, it says 1. So let's go chronological order. Di Lorenzo comes out wide, hoping to attract the Lazio player with the number 2, right? And that hopefully opens up some space for Anguissa, number 3, to come into to receive the ball. Now, normally, this is a good solution, right? To pass the ball to Anguissa if the defenders and the midfielders were closer. But if you look at that distance here, it's way too big. Even if Anguissa comes into the space that gets opened up by the number 2 guy not being there, it's still, I think, a very risky pass for Rachmani to make, right? Because that player in the number 2 position can, he's not going to go all the way down to the flank. He's going to kind of just move very slightly. Like, I exaggerated the arrow a little bit. He's going to be like in between, right? Like halfway mark. So anything wrong with the pass, he's going to intercept it, or the other guy is going to intercept it, like Luis Alberto. So realistically, Rachmani is never going to play that pass that we see there, the number 4 pass. What pass does he play? He plays it down to Di Lorenzo, okay? Where it's less risky. And what happens in this case is Anguissa, as soon as the pass goes to Di Lorenzo, has to make a run in behind the defenders that were caging him, right? Now, all of a sudden, it opens up for him. But Di Lorenzo here has to make the right decision as well. He needs to play the ball fast, and he needs to choose between Anguissa and Lozano. Now, Lozano making a run, and you can see here, like, Lozano doesn't even look at Di Lorenzo. He's not waiting around for the ball at his feet. He's making a run, sprinting away, because he wants to drag one of the defenders with him. And that would open up the space for Anguissa, right? Because the defender has to start following Lozano. Now, the problem that I have with this is that too often, Di Lorenzo actually passed the ball to Lozano instead of to Anguissa. I feel like Lozano should make this run as a dummy, and the ball should be going to Anguissa. And then that way you can sort of play in between the lines, get Osimhen more involved, maybe get Lobotka up as well. But too many times in the first half, I feel like Di Lorenzo played it to Lozano, and I don't think that was the best call. In fact, in the second half, when we had a very dangerous opportunity, he actually decided to take it centrally himself, and Osimhen came to find him, and behind them was one of the midfielders that continued their run. So I feel like we needed to do that more in the first half, like move it centrally more. Let's see some of the comments, guys, before I go on. Let's make sure I'm still talking, that it's not on mute and all that sort of nice stuff. Johnny Baum says Anguissa needed rest. Striking Vince says, of course they are tired. They play every single game. Yeah, I feel like we should have rested a few players for sure. I don't really understand why, with 18 points lead, we're playing all our starters, to be honest. Anthony Navarro says, I'm not even mad Kvara did that header. It was a mistake and a wonderful shot. Yeah. Hazo says, I miss Ospina, guys. I mean, come on. Let's not start thinking about what we used to have and all those other players. I mean, these guys are 18 points ahead. These, like, saying you miss Ospina is like me saying, oh man, I miss Maradona. Like, dude, like it's in the past. Like, it doesn't matter. If we had Ospina, we would be 21 points ahead. Man, you just don't know that. You just literally cannot prove that. So, yeah. I mean, Ospina is a very good goalkeeper. I'm just saying you can't really prove that. So, yeah. I love how one guy said no sound, and then like 3 people were like, no, the sound is on. And thank you for those 3 people, because I would have been freaking out otherwise. Anyways, so that's how we kind of played the first half. Guys, the problem in the first half was that, let me go to the next slide first. These are our dribbles. Okay, we are the orange guys. All right, this is where we had the most dribbles, and you can see obviously on the top, those are the ones made by Kvara. On the bottom, those are the ones probably made by Lozano, maybe a few by Di Lorenzo. Now, it's very clear that most of Kvara's dribbles were very far away from the box, with one of them kind of being around the edge. These are successful dribbles, right, where you actually get past the man, not just the ones where you make a bit of space for yourself to do a cross. No, like you actually get past them. And if you compare this to some of our other games, these dots are a bit further back on average. Yeah, that's kind of been the problem. Like, Lazio kept us very far away from their goal. And as a consequence, we couldn't really get the ball into the box. And as a consequence of that, we had to rely on shots outside of the box. Again, the orange ones. Now, if you guys have been following Napoli this season, you will know that we don't tend to score with those kind of shots. We don't have the midfielders that have that in them. Yes, Zielinski to some extent, but the other guys, Anguissa doesn't really score. Lobotka doesn't really score. Even Osimhen doesn't really score outside the box. He's not a type of striker that can drift out and do a long-range effort. You know, he's not like, for example, I don't know, like last year in Sassuolo, Scamacca, right? Scamacca was a type of guy that if he's not getting the ball inside the box, he can drift out, and he has a lethal left foot. So I'm not like slating Osimhen, by the way. I'm just saying, like, it's not his style, and that's fine, you know, like he doesn't have to do that. But I'm just saying, if we rely on shots outside the box, our chances of scoring are super small. So that's kind of where we needed to improve in the second half, get more chances inside the box. And even in the second half, guys, like, I mean, we did a little better about getting in between the lines. And you can see here, for example, Di Lorenzo, unlike in the first half, doesn't give the ball to Lozano, which was the most predictable thing that he did. And Lozano was getting, you know, doubly marked. Instead, he decides to cut himself centrally. Zielinski makes, and he passes it to Osimhen, which allows Zielinski to continue his run. So instead of passing it directly to Zielinski, he passes it first to Osimhen, frees up Zielinski. And then a lot of you guys are saying that here, Zielinski should have passed it to Kvara. Guys, I feel you. I can see why you might think that. But honestly, Kvara is very wide here. Is very wide. And, you know, Zielinski here is, a second before this, is looking at Di Lorenzo on the right, is looking at Osimhen's run. There's no way he would have spotted Kvara. He had a split second to take a shot. There's enough space in between Zielinski and the defenders. There's a clear corridor for him to shoot. So I can see why he took the shot. Looking back, okay, he missed. So maybe he should have, you know, let the ball scroll to his left foot, looked up, seen Kvara, and maybe passed the ball to Kvara. But, you know, football is a matter of milliseconds at times. and I can't blame a player for doing something which is like in theory not super wrong, right? It's okay to take a shot here. If Kvara was at the edge of the box, like on the line of the box, then I would have said, yeah, that's a big mistake. But because he's those 2-3 meters behind, I really don't think Zielinski saw him. So, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what happened. Even though I know that a lot of you guys might think that Zielinski hates Kvara, because there was a comment about that before. It's really stupid comment, I think. Anyways, speaking of Kvara, man, this guy got unlucky today because he was just defending, right? He was just defending and he was doing the best he could. You can see here, didn't really have that much balance trying to get to the ball. It lands right to Vecino, and Vecino, hits an effort that's really hard to save. And like even the people saying like, oh, I miss Ospina, guys, like Meret is one of the best shot stoppers in terms of reactions, you know. So if Meret didn't save it, like what guarantees you that Ospina would have? And this is a super difficult shot to save because it had a bit of spin, it bounced on the ground. There was 1.5 defenders in front of him, you know, blocking his view. If you can see here, the ball already left, and I don't think Meret really saw this ball leave Vecino's foot. So yeah, that's what happened. And then we had a really good opportunity here with Kvara on a corner. You know, someone played a short. I think it's Zielinski played a short to him. He crosses it, goes to Osimhen. Osimhen does really well to get ahead on that. Hits the crossbar, comes back out, and then Kim doesn't manage to score because Provedel saves it. It doesn't even fall to Di Lorenzo, even though he was right there. So super unlucky. And then finally, Milinkovic-Savic with a really good free kick could have scored for Lazio. Honestly, guys, I put a poll, and 175 of you guys voted for that poll, and a lot of you are saying that we deserve the draw, 57%. 27% are saying yes, Lazio had the better chances, and 17% says Napoli deserved to win. And I don't think Napoli deserved to win. Lazio, I think they played good enough to deserve a draw themselves. It's one of those where maybe the fair result would have been a draw. But in those kind of games, it can happen that you lose 1-0 because all you need is one little piece of bad luck and it goes the other way. Hazo says, Dom Meret is not a good keeper compared to our amazing Napoli team. We need a decent keeper. I think, look, he's not obviously at the level of Osimhen or Kvara or Lobotka. He's not like you wouldn't ever put him in a top 10 conversation as goalkeepers, whereas with Osimhen or Kvara or Lobotka, you would put them as top 10 midfielders or strikers or whatever around the world. I agree with you there. At the same time, who is actually a keeper that you would get, that you are able to get, that you are willing to spend 50, 60 million euros for what? Because we already have the best defense in the league. We conceded 16 goals in 25 games. So do we need to spend 60 million on a keeper that instead of conceding 16 goals will concede 13 maybe? Are those 3 goals worth 60 million? My answer is probably not. So I agree with you. He isn't the best. I also don't think it's a priority for us to fix. So yeah, because it's one of those positions where there's not that many out there. Like in the Serie A, you can't really go and buy Magnan from Milan, right? So who do you go? You go and you buy guys from Cremonese. from Empoli. You go and buy like Vicario, or what's the guy from Cremonese? Like these young 22-year-old guys. Like I would rather just keep Meret. You know, he's 25, still can grow, but still has experience, knows the team well. Like I don't know who else would you get, right? Obviously, like you then would have to go, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you would then have to go with someone like, for example, Keylor Navas, like we were trying to do this summer, you know, but very experienced goalkeeper. But on the older side, so you've fixed your problem for 1 year, 1.5 years. Can you really build a team around the goalkeeper that's only going to stick around for a year and a half, and then repeat that? Because the chemistry between goalkeeper and the rest of the team needs to be super high. So I wouldn't change Meret, to be honest. In fact, I would try to keep him. And I think most people in the comments are agreeing with that. So, yeah. But hey, we all have an opinion. Having said that, he is definitely not one of the players that scored the highest. He gets a 6. I think he could have maybe done something slightly little bit better on that goal, but not really. And you guys might be surprised by the relatively high player ratings today. And again, that's because I don't think we played bad. Yes, we lost the game, but I don't think we played bad. I think our defense was really good. Like if you really think about it, guys, Immobile didn't have a sniff on goal, and we're talking about one of the best strikers out there, right? Zaccagni, Felipe Anderson, like what did they do against Oliveira and Di Lorenzo? Nothing. You know, Milinkovic-Savic, quiet all game. Luis Alberto, quiet all game. Like our defense and our midfield actually did really well. If they scored with Vecino, is because they got a little bit lucky that the ball happened to land on that guy's foot when we were clearing it, and he pulled out like the best goal of his life, right? So yeah, so that's why most of the midfielders and defenders get a 7, because I actually think they did well. Meret, you know, he just had that one opportunity to do something and didn't really, you know, show anything too good or too bad on it. Who I didn't like was Anguissa. I don't know why this 0.5 is there. Who I didn't really like was Anguissa, guys. I mean, it's the second time in a row that he doesn't go above a 6. I feel like he's super tired, because he was a regular 7, 8, 8.5 player up until 2 weeks ago, right? So what's going on there? There was a lot of times when he was a little bit slow to move into the right position, yeah. Now, the Kvara Osimhen 6.5. Let me explain. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, come on, Kvara should have been a 7, should have been a this or that." I can see why you guys say that. Here's the thing, Kvara, kind of his fault that we conceded a goal because of the clearance with his head. So he does. I was undecided between a 6.5 and a 7, but I was like, maybe because of that it's a 6.5. Another reason was because a lot of his dribblings were very nice, but the final product, you know, wasn't quite there. Apart from the one chance that they had between him and Osimhen, where Osimhen hit the crossbar. He had better games. And again, this is all kind of also relative to his quality. Like it shows the quality of the guy, right? Like, I mean, he had a good game, and you know, I'm thinking like, 6.5, because I've seen so much better from him. Osimhen as well, like never really got in the game, but a few little flicks here, a few like the header that hit the crossbar, it's nice. But yeah, I mean, it's still above a 6. 6 is average, so you're still above average, right? Like you had a good game with a 6.5, like a decent game. 6.5 is decent. 7 is good. but nothing special. Lozano, for example, I thought he was really good. Well, not really good because he's 7, so he was good, just good. Let's make it clear, he was just good. Because I liked his defending work, I liked his work rate, and yeah, he's kind of like going up in my valuations recently. You guys know that I wasn't a huge fan of Lozano. I'm still not 100% convinced on the guy, to be honest. I still feel like he's missing the basics of football at times, like controlling a ball and passing it. But he's made huge improvements in those areas. So now I feel like he's not missing them as much, and he's also putting in a lot more concentration defensively. He's pressing, winning the ball. So yeah, he's doing much better now. I think actually, the key reasons why we maybe lost this game is if you look towards the right-hand side of the field and on the top. So Spalletti 6. Look, I feel like if he had replaced, for example, Anguissa with Ndombele at the start of the game, or Anguissa with Elmas, we would have done better, because I've been calling for him to have Anguissa take a rest for a few weeks now, and it looked like we were playing with 10 people at times, so he could have done better there. And I think he could have done more to tell the team to play a certain way. I don't think we were too direct as we should have been. A lot of people are saying that Elmas deserves below 0. Look, guys, below a 6 is bad. Like, below 6 is bad. 5.5. I gave a 5 to Politano. Like, I gave him worse than Elmas. You know why? Because every time the ball went to Politano, it was like, dude, he like slowed it down so much. I would have given a 5. I was ready to give a 5 to Elmas as well for kind of the same reason. But you know what saved Elmas? When he got Lazio that free kick at the edge of the box, it was actually super smart. Because you've got 6 minutes remaining, right? And he took one for the team because the Lazio player was making a great run into the box, and I think he would have been able to receive the ball, and it would have been a problem for Napoli. So he took one for the team, made sure it was outside the box. So for me, actually, while a lot of people see that yellow card and that foul as a negative thing, for me, actually, that bumped him up from a 5 to a 5.5, because I thought, oh, that's smart from Elmas. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can totally see why other people would bump him down for that. But that's the beauty of football, I guess. Like, we can interpret the same event in different ways. I just feel like a younger Elmas wouldn't have done that. A younger Elmas, a more immature Elmas, would have just let the guy run. But yeah, I think he took one for the team in a very conscious way, and that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody else had a decent game. The stars just didn't really align when it came to the result. Hazo at one time says Lobotka should be an 8, Dom. 7. Look, guys, 7 is still good. Like 8, I guess what I'm trying to say with my player, like 8, it already means like you've kind of made a difference to the result of the game. Like you've already, like your contribution actually helped the team get a result, and it's very difficult to give an 8 when you lose. 7 means you played well, but you can get a 7 and lose. It's very difficult to get an 8 and lose, especially unless you're like a striker that you scored 2 goals and you lost 3-2, then it's not really your fault that you lost. But as a midfielder, if your team is not scoring a goal, very difficult to get above a 7, in my opinion. But yeah. Di Lorenzo, Super Alejandro said Lobotka and Di Lorenzo were not good either. So many bad passes. Look, Di Lorenzo, he needs to get a minimum of 7 just because of the clearance that he did on the line. Like, that saved the goal, so that obviously automatically gives you a high score. Anyways, guys, let's move on from this and go and see what Spalletti had to say, because obviously we all have an opinion, but the opinion that matters the most is the one of Mr. Spalletti. So let's see what he has to say, because I think it's going to be interesting. All right, so let's start off with his interview at that zone, and they ask him, look, how do you read today's loss? And he says, look, we didn't move the ball around as well as we used to do. We forced playing down the wide areas because they didn't allow us to play down the middle, which is something that we talked about earlier. There was the possibility to play down the middle, but we were not very patient. Guys, I mean, Spalletti literally there just summarized, okay, what we were saying before here, that we needed to play more down the middle, right? Instead of going wide. Instead, we kept playing it wide. We played it wide here to Di Lorenzo and then wide again to Lozano instead of playing it in the middle to Anguissa. So I'm kind of glad that he sees football in the same sort of way as I do in this particular case. In the second half, we try to do things with a bit more quality. We tried to involve the midfielders a bit more, and we got Lobotka a bit more involved, and we tried to play down through the middle, through the lines a bit more. We could have done this from the start, and maybe it would have been easier for us. So yeah, it's what we were saying. Did you expect a Lazio like this? And he says, yes, I did. Lazio plays like a very good team since always. When we went into their half, they defended well, but we also didn't make the very best decisions. I did see a lot of effort though, which is fundamental. I didn't see any sort of underestimating of Lazio, not at all. We just didn't make some good decisions. Congrats to Lazio and to Vecino for his shot, because he's a very, very good player. And obviously it's one of Spalletti's ex-players. So that's why he decided to congratulate Vecino. And he says, look, at the end of the day, though, we're still very upset about this result. We now have to make sure that we continue working the right way from here on out. So that's Spalletti to that zone. So he says, we're just going to keep working as we always do. I know that this team is going to do that. I could tell from the way we walked back into the changing room that we're gonna recover from this. So yeah. So that's Spalletti, guys. That's Spalletti. Hazo says, Dom, have a word with Spalletti. He might listen to you. Tell him I said to leave Zielinski on the bench. Yeah. Look, I don't think Spalletti watches Napoli Talk. I was convinced two people used to watch Napoli Talk. Fabian Ruiz and Gattuso. Like, I was convinced, man, that they used to watch it. Because I kept saying stuff about them, and then the next time they would fix those things. Spalletti, though, doesn't really do that. Like, I've been telling Spalletti, rest Anguissa, and he doesn't rest Anguissa. So, but hey, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we're finally winning games because coaches are not listening to me anymore. So maybe it's a good thing. Atalanta thoughts for next week. Are you worried, Dom? Look, Atalanta is super important because we need to keep that 15-point gap. I think if we go from 18 to 12 in the space of a week or like in 10 days, the amount of media pressure on us would be insane. And it's just not something we need. So we need to get at least a draw against Atalanta, but ideally, we need this is super important, this game. This game is super, super, super important. I would say Napoli-Atalanta is more important than Napoli-Milan, to be honest. I would say so. So, yeah. Because 2 losses in a row, how do you... I don't know. How do you guys imagine that going? I imagine the panic just start to set in. Instead, if we for example, if I really had to, like, I want to win every game, right? But if I really had to choose which game to lose to, right, I would rather lose against Milan, because if you win against Atalanta, you win against Frankfurt, you win against Torino, you build up some positive momentum after your first loss, and then, it's not seen as like a crisis moment. But suddenly when you start losing 2 games, like, guys, remember what happened to Milan in January? They lost 2 games and they couldn't win then for the next like 3 or 4. They did a horrible January, killed them. So I fear that if we lose against Atalanta, that could happen. So I don't want that to happen. If I could choose, I would delay the next loss as much as possible. So yeah, or never. That's better. Anyways, guys. Napoli's victories was assured in many news, so he must have lacked concentration today. Maybe, but I don't know, guys. Adam Miller says, if I can guarantee a win versus Milan, I'd rather lose versus Atalanta. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously. Okay. Let's rewind a little bit, because maybe I didn't explain myself super well. Let's say someone comes up to you, okay, hypothetical game, someone comes up to you and says, you are for sure going to lose one of these games, one of these next 5. You're for sure going to lose them. Let's ignore Torino and Lecce. Someone says, you're for sure going to lose between Atalanta and Milan, one of them. Pick one that you would rather lose, right? And then you don't know what's going to happen like in the other game. For me, personally, I feel like if we lose against Atalanta, we have an even higher chance of then losing against Milan, whereas, I feel like it can lead to a spiral. Now, I've explained that horribly. You are allowed to unlike this video because of that bad explanation, but I hope it makes sense, like what I'm trying to say. Oftentimes what I try to say doesn't make sense, but yeah. anyways, why are we talking about losses is the thing. Like, we should be talking about how we're 15 points ahead, which is super good. And well, technically still 18, but let's assume, are we still 18? We're Lazio, one sec, let me see where they are now on the table. No, we are 17 points ahead. Right, okay, we're 17 points ahead. Inter could potentially win, Milan could potentially win, and they bring that down to 15. Okay, yada yada yada, whatever. But at the end of the day, guys, I think we're still good. As long as we're above 10 points, then I'm all right. Actually, if I'm being super selfish, then we need this points gap to go down, because I have tickets to see, well, not tickets to see Napoli Inter, but I have my flight ticket to Naples for Napoli Inter, and that's the 3rd to last game of the season, and I would like to be there when we win the title. So yeah, you guys are gonna hate me for saying that. You guys are gonna absolutely destroy me for saying that. Anyways, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Just me being super selfish about wanting us to drop points so that they happen to win when I'm there and not when you guys have booked to be there, which is probably earlier than that. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it here. Hope you guys have a great weekend. You recover from this loss. It happens, guys. Remember, we're still 15, 17, 18, whatever points ahead. It's a lot. It's a huge number. So, yeah, guys, don't let it affect you too much. And, we're going to learn from this. And as I said before, it's only 1-0. We didn't get outplayed. If we were going to lose to someone, it was going to be against Sarri, who knows how we play super well. So, yeah. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Have a great weekend, and as always, even though we lost, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.